Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I want to share with you 3 of my favorite blues scale riffs. So what's great is all these riffs go well with each other, so you could string them together, and they kind of span a large area of the neck. One of the licks we're going to play in 2 different ways because it lends itself well to a couple different patterns. Alright, so first, what is the blues scale? Actually, before we get into it, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks, and if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to tap the bell and also let us know in the comments what you'd like to see in future lessons. That's where we're always looking for ideas. Alright, let's get into it. So first, what is the blues scale? The blues scale is simply taking the pentatonic scale, in this case A minor pentatonic, and adding a chromatic passing tone called the flat 5 or the sharp 4. So in other words, we have a root, we have a minor third, we have a fourth, then we have this sharp 4 or flat 5, and then the 5, and then we have the flat 7, and then the root. Now what are these numbers? These are intervals relative to our starting note or our tonic. So this is our tonic A, then this note C, it's a minor third above A. This note D, it's a fourth above A. This note D sharp or E flat, it's either a sharp 4 or a flat 5 from the A, and then the E is a fifth away, 1, 5, and then this G is a flat 7 away, 1, flat 7, and then back to the tonic, and then we just repeat that. But really, it's this chromatic. And what I mean by chromatic is when we put together notes that are all a half step apart. And when I do that with more than one note, here we have 3 that are all a half step apart from one another. That is chromatic. Right? The chromatic scale is all 12 notes in succession. But we could add chromaticism to a normal scale by just stringing together more than 2 notes. So this is a little chromatic 3-note grouping right here. All right, so that blue note gives us bluesiness. It sounds bluesy, right? And it's used often in the blues scale. It creates tension. It's usually not landed on. It's usually not something like, unless you're in like heavy metal, that's really common. But in blues, it's usually, or it's usually used as like a flavor that we briefly visit and then come away from. We usually don't resolve on that note. So the first lick went like this, or some variation. So it's really important that you realize these licks are a foundation from which you could change the rhythm and sort of change the feel. Like for instance, if I start on the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now watch if I start on the end of 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It changes the feel, right? Or if I start on the 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You know, like depending on what beat I start on, I'm gonna slightly change the direction of the riff. But as I played it in the intro, and if I didn't, no big deal, as I believe I played it, was like this. On the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I ended on the tonic. So what did I do here? So the technique, what I like to do is bar this double stop on the 5th fret and this double stop on the 8th fret. And I like to pull off on the B string, on the lower note pitch-wise of the double stops. And then I use that index finger to play the 5th fret on the high E string. And then I go back to the pull-off. So it's really just 3 picks. Pick, 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 pick. Pick, pick, pick. Pick, pick, pick. Then on the G string, this is where we have the blue note on that 8th fret. So we go 8, 7, 6. Now what I like to do is pick the first two notes and then pull off. So, and then I went down to the tonic, which is on the 7th fret of the D string, and then went 7th fret on the D, 5th fret on the G, back to 7th fret on the D. So, now you might want to try picking them all real slow. And then that was double speed. Right, so this could be played fast or slow. Right, so there's versatility there. All right, the second riff went like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now I believe I started right there on the end of 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Cool. Now that is in pattern 4, which is this pattern. Now that's in pattern 3 of the pentatonic, also known as the D shape, because the D chord is contained in here. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that pattern on the top 3 strings, but I like it on the top 2 strings because we have the blue note right here. So it's great for the blues scale, and I like to go. Right, so all of these patterns, there's different licks that work within them. This pattern as a full 6-string pattern, I like it in little chunks, whereas something like this pattern, you know, the whole thing is easy to play, one big long run, right? But this pattern, I like the top 2 strings, I like the lower 3 strings, because it's a nice little box, but then it gets weird when it goes. But this little blue note or blues scale thing is really convenient. So what I did there is started with a hammer-on pull-off on the 10th to 11th fret, hammering and pulling off the blue note. Then I go to the 13th fret on the B string, then back to the 10th fret on the E string, then back down to the 13th fret of the B string, down to the 10th fret of the B string. Now I go down to the 12th fret of the G string, and then back to the B string, and I toggle between the 10th and 13th fret. Now I'm playing in position, I'm playing in 10th position. That means anything on the 10th fret gets the index, anything on the 11th fret gets the middle, anything on the 12th fret gets the ring, anything on the 13th fret gets the pinky. So starting on the high E string, 10 to 11, hammer on pull off, 10, 11, 10. Then I go to 13 on the B string, then back to 10 on the E string, then 13, 10 on the B string. And now the last part goes, and that's 12 on the G, and then 10, 13, 10 on the B. Putting it together. Now when I'm doing it fast, I do a pull-off between 13 and 10. There's no need to pick everything. All right, then the last lick, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there, I'm going in and out of the blue note on the G string, so 7th to 8th fret, and then down to the 5th fret. and then now down the pentatonic scale. So I'm going 7 to 8 to 7, then down to 5, then next string 7 5, then down the blues scale 7 6 5, then slide down to the 3rd fret into this next pattern down, then 5th fret on the low E, then back to 3rd fret. So now to give it a more vocal sound, use hammer-ons and pull-offs and slides. This is a slide, 1 pick. And then I do a pull-off. So it's 1 pick for 3 notes. And then that's a pull-off. And here I like to pick, pick, pull. Pick, pick, pull. And then slide down. And then pick, pick, and give it vibrato. And now same thing up here in this second pattern. So we start on fret 10, on the high E, go 10, 11, 10, and then down to 8. Again, 1 pick. And then next string, 10 to 8, pull off. And then now I just shift my hand 1 fret, fingers 3, 2, 1, going from 9, 8, 7. And again, pick, pick, pull. Pick, pick, pull, slide. Down to 5 on the G string, and then 7 on the D, and then back to 5 on the G. So that whole thing. Or awesome. All right, everybody, so I recommend taking these licks, put on a looper, put on a backing track in the key, like an A blues backing track or an A minor backing track or an A Dorian backing track. This is kind of a A Dorian backing track. I'm playing the chords A minor 7 to D7. Same chords in the song Oye Como Va. I'm not playing it in that style, just happens to have the same chord progression. And just play around with these licks. So now I'm just going to change them up a little. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com. We've got a library of high-quality song lessons. We've got step-by-step sequential courses on guitar fundamentals, rock, blues, country, and so much more. Happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.